ancient realms of Norse mythology, where the ethereal dance of gods and goddesses unfolded across the cosmic stage, a tale of profound significance emerged. Following the creation of the 9 realms, there existed a time of peace. However, this peace was short-lived. A conflict erupted between the Aesir and the Vanir. Little did these divine beings know that their fates were intricately entangled in a saga that would change the course of Norse mythology forever. Amongst the 9 realms, Asgard was where the Aesir called home. In this realm, the Aesir reigned supreme. They were a pantheon of gods whose influence reached the farthest branches of Yggdrasil, the World Tree. This realm was also home of Valhalla, literally meaning the Hall of the Fallen. It was a place where half of the souls of warriors who died in combat would find themselves. It was a promised land for the warriors, where they would reside until the day they were called upon to fight in Ragnarok. The Aesir was considered the main group of gods in Norse mythology. They possessed a warlike nature, where bravery, strength, justice, and being a warrior were of the utmost importance. At the helm stood Odin, the All-Father and King of Asgard, whose wisdom echoed through the cosmos. Odin once sacrificed his own eye in the well of Mimir in order to gain all the wisdom and knowledge in the universe. He, along with his brothers Vili and Ve, were responsible for the creation of the 9 realms. Standing beside him was Frigg, the Queen of Asgard. She was known as a nurturing and protective goddess. Together with Odin, she birthed Baldur and Hermod, 2 gods who would play an important role in Norse mythology. She also possessed her own realm within Asgard, called Fensalir, a watery realm that likely took the form of the marsh, or wetlands. The pantheon of Aesir gods and goddesses was vast, but here are some of the most well-known after Odin and Frigg. Thor, the god of thunder himself, is perhaps one of the most well-known gods in Norse mythology. Thor wielded the mighty Mjolnir, a warhammer crafted by the dwarves, which was capable of spitting lightning, destruction, and in some cases, resurrection. Thor was also seen as a god of war and fertility. This contrasting classification was due to his love of battle and bloodthirsty nature, combined with his prodigious sexual appetite. Baldur, the god of light and peace. Despite his peaceful nature, Baldur was one of the stronger gods amongst the Aesir, bested only by Odin and Thor. He was the son of Odin and Frigg, brother to Hermod, and half-brother to Thor, and many others. Baldur's story and fate was one of the most important tales in Norse mythology. He was intricately tied to the events leading up to Ragnarok. Loki, the god of mischief. While technically not an Aesir by blood, Loki was often included as an honorary Aesir. Loki's origin was that of a Jotun, a frost giant, who, while not actually adopted by Odin, was still seen as Thor's brother. Despite being an honorary Aesir, Loki would find himself entangled in many of Norse mythology's conflicts and dramas. His actions indirectly lead to the events of Ragnarok. Heimdall, the watchman of the gods, he was one of Odin's many sons. He possessed a keen eyesight and hearing, and was responsible for guarding the Bifrost, the bridge that connected Asgard to the other realms. Heimdall was also responsible for sounding the horn when the time of Ragnarok eventually came. Tyr, the god of war. He was a conflicting god representing war and bloodshed, while also being known as the bringer of justice and order. Tyr was another one of Odin's many sons. Tyr was often described as missing his right hand. This was a result of him wrestling with the mighty Fenrir, the son of Loki. It was believed that Loki was the one responsible for orchestrating this event, leading to Tyr's injury. Asgard, their celestial abode, perched atop Yggdrasil's sunlit branches, served as the epicenter of their influence. These Aesir held the responsibility of maintaining order across the 9 realms. While each realm had their own rulers and hierarchies, the Aesir oversaw the realms, intervening whenever they deemed it necessary. Their divine presence acted as a stabilizing force, preventing the encroaching chaos from the formless realms beyond. As the cosmic pillars, the Aesir's role was paramount, a duty not merely born out of power, but as guardians, entrusted with the delicate balance of creation. Yet, little did they anticipate that their journey would be marked by conflict, challenging their unity and testing the very foundations of their celestial dominion. Across the 9 realms beyond the radiant branches of Yggdrasil, the Vanir held sway in the mysterious realm of Vanaheim. The origins of the Vanirs are shrouded in mystery, much like the gods themselves. Very little is known about the Vanir. Nevertheless, it still remains a fact that the Vanir gods ruled over the realm of Vanaheim. Compared to the Aesir, the Vanir were complete opposites. While the Aesir prided themselves on their bravery, strength, and war, the Vanir were less overt. Instead of the using weapons and brute force, the Vanir relied on their wisdom and magic. They were considered gods of fertility rather than gods of war. They were also capable of seeing into the future, which proved to be a valuable asset. Vanaheim was believed to be a fertile and pleasant realm of magic and light. Being fertility gods, the Vanir were called upon for good harvests, sun, rain, and good winds and weather conditions by the seafarers and fishermen. The leader of the Vanir was Njord, the god of the sea and wind. He would go on to lead the Vanir in a climactic battle against the Aesir. Njord took his sister as his queen, though her name is never mentioned. Together they had 2 children. Twins, in fact. A son named Freyr and a daughter named Freya. He would later go on to marry the Jotun, Skadi, through a series of unfortunate events. Skadi was the daughter of Thiazi, another Jotun who believed she would be marrying the great Baldur, but was ultimately tricked into marrying Njord. It was a loveless marriage, one where they rarely saw one another. Freyr was the god of peace and prosperity. He was associated with male virility, sunshine, and fair weather. Freyr was worshipped and celebrated at weddings and harvest feasts. He was famous for his accoutrements, which included a magical ship, a golden boar and sword that fought on its own. Freyr was fated to die in mortal combat during Ragnarok. Freyr would later reign over Alfheim, a realm of the Light Elves. Like Freyr, the Light Elves were known for their peace and goodness. Freya was the goddess of love, lust, and fertility. Freya shared her people's penchant for the magical arts of divination. It was Freya who would later introduce the gods to Seidr, a form of magic that allowed practitioners to know and change the future. Freya was gentler and more agreeable than the other Norse deities. She achieved her ends with the gentler persuasions of gifts, beauty, and sex. While Freya was often unselfish and helpful, she did have a darker side. It was said she took the lives of half the warriors ever slain in battle, while the other half ascended to Valhalla. These 2 gods would go on to become important figures amongst the Norse pantheon of gods. Unlike their Aesir counterparts, the Vanir's essence remained veiled in a subtle aura of uncertainty, their significance echoing in whispers through the realms. The Vanir were also thought to have been connected to the elves of Alfheim. The elves and Vanir both possessed an affinity for magic and were of a more mystical nature, while the Aesir were known for the fierce, warrior-like nature. Throughout the 9 realms, there have been whispers that speak of Odin, Vili, and Ve, giving rise to the Aesir, elves, and Vanir, respectively. However, with the exception of Odin and the Aesir, the rest were lost to time. The tranquil equilibrium that had reigned between the Aesir and Vanir shattered like fragile glass when the Aesir, in their celestial abode of Asgard, crossed paths with Freya, who was disguised under the alias Hyder. Her mastery over the potent art of Seidr, a magic beyond comprehension, bewitched the Aesir, drawing them into a web of desire. As the Aesir eagerly sought the services of Hyder, the enchanting sorceress, they soon realized that the intoxicating allure of her powers came at a price. The values of honor, kin loyalty, and adherence to the law treasured by the Aesir crumbled beneath the weight of selfish desires fueled by Hyder's mystical craft. Frustration and blame festered within Asgard. The Aesir, unable to reconcile their moral decline with the sorceress's influence, cast upon her the scornful name of Gulvai, meaning gold greed, marking her as the embodiment of their own avarice. Attempting to sever this otherworldly connection, they sought to extinguish her existence through flames not once, not twice, but thrice. Yet, each time the flames licked the heavens, Hyder emerged anew from the ashes, her resilience stoking the embers of resentment. This clash of values, this cycle of rebirth and retaliation, would serve as the catalyst that ignited the flames of war between the Aesir and the Vanir, marking a dark chapter in the annals of Norse mythology. The Vanir rightfully came to resent the Aesir for the actions against their beloved Freya. The hate and fear between the two tribes festered, and eventually, the Aesir Vanir War erupted, a cosmic tempest that shook the very foundations of Yggdrasil. Aesir, epitomes of sheer strength and honor, clashed with the Vanir, weavers of subtle enchantments. The conflict echoed through the realms, a tumultuous dance, where gods and goddesses wielded their might like celestial titans. The Aesir, armed with weapons and boundless might, faced the Vanir, whose mastery over magic was as intricate as the threads of fate. Each clash between these divine tribes sent shockwaves through the cosmos, threatening to unravel the delicate balance that held the realms together. It was a war of contrasts, brawn against magic, brute force against subtle manipulation. The battleground witnessed the ebb and flow of power, a dance of energies that tested the resilience of gods and goddesses. The clash of values, the clash of might, painted the heavens with the fiery hues of divine conflict, each confrontation etching a tale of celestial struggle. As the war raged on, weariness descended upon the divine hearts of Aesir and Vanir alike. The battleground, once vibrant with the echoes of conflict, now bore the weight of fatigue. Reluctance crept into their minds, a shared desire to quell the raging storm and forge a path to peace. In a symbolic gesture of reconciliation, both tribes, weary from the never-ending war, agreed to a truce. The Aesir and Vanir, in a cosmic pact, chose to exchange hostages, casting aside the shackles of animosity. Freya, Freyr, and Njord ventured into the realm of Asgard, while Ve and Mimir, emissaries of the Aesir, set foot in the enigmatic realms of Vanaheim. Hoping to foster understanding and harmony, the hostages dwelled in the realms of their counterparts. The once warring tribes sought to bridge the cosmic gap that had driven them to the brink of eternal conflict. Little did they know, this truce would pave the way for unforeseen consequences and the unraveling of a deeper conflict and animosity. Yet, within the fragile embrace of the truce, tragedy unfurled its somber wings. The Vanir immediately saw that Ve was seemingly able to deliver incomparably wise advice on any problem they encountered. However, they soon realized an uncomfortable pattern. The Vanir, hopeful for the wisdom promised by Ve, soon unveiled the harsh reality. They discovered that Ve was actually a rather slow-witted simpleton who was at a loss for words when Mimir wasn't available to counsel him. Their expectations shattered, and resentment boiled within the Vanir. When the Vanir would approach Ve with a problem, without Mimir's presence, he would simply redirect the query, having someone else decide. The Vanir believed that they had been tricked by the Aesir. The Vanir had sent some of their brightest and most beloved gods to the Aesir, and felt that their trade was completely unfair. In their fury, they beheaded Mimir. The Vanir then sent the severed head back to Asgard as a grim token of the shattered alliance. Odin, grief-stricken but wise, cradled Mimir's head. Using magic and herbs, Odin used an enchantment he learned from Freya to preserve Mimir's head, turning tragedy into an enduring source of counsel. Mimir's disembodied head was preserved and given the power of speech, allowing him to continue sharing his wisdom with Odin, echoing through the halls of Asgard. Both the Aesir and Vanir were rightfully angry at the current state of affairs. With the specter of war still haunting the cosmic realms, both Aesir and Vanir recoiled from the brink. The memories of conflict lingered, a chilling reminder of the perilous path they had tread. In a bid to quell the embers of hostility, both tribes, Aesir and Vanir, converged in a solemn pact. A cauldron stood as the vessel of their accord. In a symbolic act transcending divine animosity, the Aesir and Vanir spat into the cauldron's depths. Using their magic, the gods brewed the saliva, creating a being of great importance. From this cauldron came Kvasir, the wisest being to ever grace the realms. From the amalgamation of the saliva emerged a figure that embodied the pledge for sustained harmony. Kvasir, the embodiment of their commitment, roamed the realms, a beacon of wisdom in a world scarred by the echoes of war. As he ventured across the realms, he would dispense his wisdom to anyone who would listen. There was no question too great, for he knew the answers to all of life's mysteries. The Aesir and Vanir, bound by fate, chose a path of unity over discord, understanding that the true strength of the cosmos lay in the harmony between its celestial architects. Following the events of the Aesir Vanir War and the birth of Kvasir, fate took a dark turn when he crossed paths with the malevolent dwarves, Fjalar the Deceiver and Galar the Screamer. These cunning craftsmen, delighting in mischief and mayhem, invited Kvasir to their home. Upon his arrival, the dwarves slew Kvasir and seized his blood. They brewed a mead of arcane potency, naming it Odrir, the stirrer of inspiration. The elixir held the power to turn mortals into poets and scholars. After a while, the gods noticed that Kvasir was nowhere to be seen. Upon discovering his last known location, they questioned the dwarves about his whereabouts. Fjalar and Galar arrogantly told the gods that Kvasir choked on his own wisdom. The dwarves were quite proud of themselves, and soon after this incident they decided to drown Gilling, a giant, just because they felt like it. However, their heinous actions did not end there. While Gilling's wife was mourning his death, the dwarves found her irritating and dropped a stone on her as she exited her home. But it was this last act that got them into trouble. Suttung, the son of Gilling, learned that it was the dwarves who had murdered his father. In an act of revenge, Suttung dragged the dwarves out to the reef during the low tide, where it would soon be covered by the waves of the sea. Fjalar and Galar pleaded for their lives, and Suttung granted their release. Only when they agreed to hand over the mead they brewed with Kvasir's blood. Suttung then hid the mead beneath a mountain and appointed his daughter Gunnlod to watch over it. The whispers of a potent elixir, the Mead of Poetry, echoed through the realms, reaching the ever-curious ears of Odin, the All-Father. Restless in his pursuit of wisdom, Odin assumed the guise of Bylverkr, a humble farmhand, concealing his divine identity beneath the cloak of mortal simplicity. On the farm of Suttung's brother, Baugi, Odin found himself amidst 9 diligent servants, their scythes duller than a wooden sword. Odin revealed a magical whetstone, honing their scythes to unparalleled sharpness. The servants, enthralled by this, clamored to possess the extraordinary stone. The cunning deity, true to his nature, agreed to hand over the whetstone and threw it into the air, igniting a frenzied scramble. In their eagerness, the servants, blinded by desire, unwittingly turned their scythes upon each other, a tragic dance of unwitting self-destruction. With the servants out of the way, Odin once again disguised himself. He offered Baugi his services, stating that he could do the work of his 9 servants, and in return, he wanted to drink from Suttung's mead. While Baugi was enticed by this, he had no access to the mead. But seeing as how he couldn't pass this offer, he agreed to help Odin. As the seasons cycled, Odin, true to his nature as a master schemer, fulfilled his end of the bargain. The air crackled with an unspoken tension as Baugi, witnessing the completion of Odin's tasks, prepared to honor the agreement. However, when Baugi requested the mead from his brother Suttung, he was immediately denied. Odin, determined to retrieve the mead, provided Baugi with an auger and guided Baugi to a point on the mountain nearest to the hidden chamber of the mead. The giant, unaware of the divine deceit, began drilling into the rock as Odin requested. After a period of drilling, a small hole through the mountainside was visible. Upon seeing this, Odin thanked the giant and transformed into a snake and entered through the hole. As he navigated the labyrinthine passages, he eventually encountered Gunnlod, the guardian of the Mead of Poetry. Odin once again transformed himself, this time into a charming young man. He seduced Gunnlod, suggesting that if they spent 3 nights together, he should be rewarded with the mead. Gunnlod, overcome with lust, agreed. After the final night, Odin drank all of the mead and transformed into an eagle to return to Asgard. However, as Odin traversed the realms, he was being pursued by Suttung the giant, who had just learned of this theft. As Odin breached the gates of Asgard, guards stood poised at the fortress's rim, ready to intervene at a moment's notice. Upon seeing this, Suttung knew he had no chance against the forces of Asgard and returned home. Once Odin entered his palace, he regurgitated the Mead of Poetry into separate vessels. The elixir, with its potent magic, was now secured in the realm of gods. However, as Odin filled these vessels, a few drops escaped, descending to Midgard, the world of the mortals. These drops became the source of inspiration, birthing poets of varying prowess and scholars of diverse knowledge, their talents shaped by the whims of the spilled elixir. The saga of the Aesir and Vanir, once locked in cosmic conflict, forged a fragile peace after the Aesir Vanir War. Though both sides were wronged, their truce was necessary to prevent further bloodshed. This reconciliation birthed Kvasir, a symbol of their commitment to unity. Kvasir, a figure of great wisdom, bestowed his knowledge to those who would listen until his eventful end. This ultimately led to the creation of the Mead of Poetry, which caught the attention of the almighty Odin. The pursuit of the Mead of Poetry became a focal point for Odin, involving cunning schemes and disguises. Without Odin's theft of the mead, the poets and scholars of Earth would have never emerged, leaving Midgard in a state of ignorance. Thus the Norse saga unfolds, weaving themes of war, reconciliation, and the cyclical dance of fate through the realms of gods and mortals. The legacy of Aesir and Vanir echoes through Yggdrasil, symbolizing the intricate interplay of divine forces across the 9 realms.